Hello and welcome back. We are in Unit 4, Word Problems. This is our last full unit before midterm review. And this lesson is Lesson 38, Consecutive Integers. Before we start, let's see if maybe you could try these first two problems, letters A and letter B. I'm going to read them out loud. I'm not going to work through them right away. We're going to go over the answers in class, but I wanted to see if based on our discussion or maybe ahead of our discussion, you can kind of work these out on your own. So give them a shot. Letter A, the sum of three consecutive odd numbers is 93. Find the numbers. And here are multiple choices, our favorite. So even if you barely know anything about what consecutive numbers are, you do know some information about this problem, so let's see if you can do it. Use your calculator. Letter B says, find three consecutive integers with a sum of 204. Find three consecutive integers with a sum of 204. If you're ready, we're going to pause the video and go over some notes a little bit below. Okay, so I'm going to start off with some examples to kind of give you a hint. So for example, with letter A above us, it said the sum of consecutive odd integers. So what's interesting is even and odd integers actually have the same pattern, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So odd numbers. So odd numbers are numbers that do not divide evenly by 2, right? So like a number like 1, and then if I go in order, the next odd number would be 3. The next odd number would be 5. Obviously, I'm skipping 4, the even number. If I skip 6, the next odd number would be 7. And it actually works with negatives as well. So if I skip, 0 is an even number, so -1 would be the next odd number if I'm going backwards. And very similar with even numbers. Most people think of an even number, they think of 2, and then we count by 2's, right? 2, 4, 6. If I go backwards, 0 we know is an even number, and if I count backwards more, I have to get to -2. So there's a pattern with that. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to show you a slide where I have expressions written here, but they're written sideways, which is a little challenging for me to do on my keypad, but I'll show you what I mean by that in a second. So I'm going to call this middle letter X. And you notice I'm trying to write it sideways. And then the pattern is if I go to the next number, whatever X is, I have to make it bigger, right? So I'm going to have to add 2 to it. And then from this number on, I also have to add another 2 to it. So the pattern is +2, right? As we go from left to right is 2 more, 2 more, 2 more, 2 more. When we talk about just regular consecutive integers, again, consecutive just means like in order. I'm going to put in numbers like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Notice I'm just going in order. I'm not skipping any because it just says consecutive. It does not say consecutive even or consecutive odd. And here the pattern's pretty simple. All of these go up by 1. So I'm going to flash the video to another screen which has all of the expressions written in it. And there we go. So as you can see, if I'm always counting the middle number as X, just to show that the pattern here is going to be to add 2, right, each time. I'm adding 2, I'm adding 2 more, right? This is 2 more from this guy, this is 2 more from this guy. And over here with consecutive integers, the rule is just to add 1 each time. So add 1, add 1. And we're going to need to understand these relationships when we start talking about consecutive integer word problems. So be sure you have all of this copied, including all of the expressions written sideways if you like, or you can write them up and down, up to you. So again, now that we just went over the consecutive even and odd and the consecutive integer problems, you may want to just look straight up and redo A and B and see if you were right. Again, A has multiple choices, and B you have to kind of, I would say, almost like guess and check. Alright, so here's how we're going to attack these word problems. A lot of our word problems may just be general. This particular one is going to be talking about perimeter, which will also be involved in this unit because you see the word perimeter here. So it says the lengths of the sides of a triangle are consecutive odd numbers. So we just spoke about those a little bit. What is the measure of the longest side if the perimeter is 45? So because they mention a shape here, the first thing I'm going to do is improve my ability to do this math problem and draw a picture. I also have to talk about consecutive odd numbers. So anytime I think of odd numbers, I don't go right to the pattern. I typically think of 3 numbers. So if I'm going in order, like 3 and then 5 and then 7, those are odd numbers in order, right? So now I start to think of the pattern. So the first consecutive integer, since I don't technically know any of them, the first one is I'm gonna call x. The second one, and now here's where having numbers in front of you may help you. If x is 3, how do I get to 5? Right? The rule is add 2. I take 2 more than 3 and I get 5. And again, if I start with 3, how do I get to 7? I have to add 4. So by having some numbers and by knowing the rules, this will help you. So those are my 3 consecutive sides. Consecutive odd numbers. And again, if I want to, because I happen to like the picture, there are my 3 sides on my triangle. Okay, now it's telling me the perimeter is 45. So that's going to tell me and help me figure out what x equals. So perimeter means I add up all 3 sides. So I'm going to change colors just so I don't get confused with what is written there already. So first side, add up the second side, add up the third side, and the perimeter is 45. So there we go. And now I'm going to follow my rules for solving equations. First, I'm going to look and see if there's anything I can simplify, and there is. I may want to write in some coefficients here, since I don't see them. Now they're there. 1x plus 1x plus 1x would make 3x. Positive 2 and a positive 4 combine to make positive 6. And now I'm going to follow my rules for solving. Now that it's all simplified, I have to get rid of any adding or subtracting first. Right, we're undoing PEMDAS, we're doing SAD-MEP, we're working backwards. I get 39, and then to undo this multiplying, I divide, and I get 13. This is really helpful. Because I write the let statements somewhere, there's a place for me to kind of put the answers. So there's 3 spots for answers here. So x is 13, so that's going to go in the first spot. 13 plus 2, again, remember they have to be odd. And 13 plus 4 would be 17. And again, this is a quick check too. Are they odd? Yes, they are. Good. And then what did they want? What is the measure of the longest side? So my final answer, the answer I'm going to circle, is going to be 17 because that is the longest side of the triangle in this shape. Please pause the video, copy anything you can. If you have not checked and done and tried letters A and B, please do. We're going to be going over them in class.